we would have a little leading by example. I don't know. Am I nitpicking? Am I? Because I don't want to sound like a hater. I'm just saying, though, if you're going to tell your people to wear a mask, then damn it, you should be wearing a mask, too. That's all. I'm just common sense. Good morning. It's 8:54. Let's go into the K-Wave News Zoom room where Senator Sabina Perez is standing by. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina, KUAM, and the listening audience as well.
Thank you for joining us on this Monday morning. So, wow, quick response here from Senator Perez and a couple of your colleagues. This is relative to this Marbo Cave incident where there's a stark reminder. I think a lot of people kind of forgot about the limitations that the Guam Environmental Protection Agency has when levying fines against those who would damage our environment.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, we, the Speaker and I both introduced two bills on Friday to respond to some of the constraints Guam EPA has. One of them is the caps on damages due to erosion. The Speaker, I co-sponsored the bill with her to remove those caps. As you know, in the notice of violation or the penalty order, it states that they could have fined them about over $18 million for the 368 days that they were non-compliant. The other thing was that Guam EPA has been suffering a shortage of workers. A lot of them are leaving GovGuam, as what we're seeing with other agencies, to federal jobs, which are paying double the amount. And this has been happening for over a period of time. And so one of the things that Guam EPA has is they're entitled to use tax. 20% of the use tax to help with enforcement. And this, to my knowledge, has not been tapped into. It's high time that they get the resources that they need, considering their shortage of staffing. In my conversations with Guam EPA, they can barely keep up with the plans and the permitting. And I see that by bringing in more resources and money, especially during the budget cycle. Now is the time. If we really want to make the change, we really have to put the money towards Guam EPA to ensure that they are fully carrying out the mandates that they have. There are other issues too. Sorry.
Is that kind of part of what we're seeing here? Because you said that ensuring that they're carrying out the mandates, because in the notice of violation they were cited for the fact that they approved this plan for the sediment and erosion controls, right? But this was a project that's been going on for, I want to say, 2 years, and so it kind of makes me wonder: was anybody watching and ensuring that they were following through with these plans? I mean, 368 days, that's a whole year. Was anybody like, hey, you didn't build the ponding basin 2 and 4 and 6 or whatever?
Yeah, that's a valid point. That, when we approve plans, we should be able to monitor those plans as well. And, this could have been completely avoided. Had the company actually implemented the plans they said they would. This was based on a condition. So their project was approved on these conditions, amongst other conditions. So in looking over the application review committee comments, there were other conditions that were placed on this project, including the erosion control. And so, yes, absolutely. And I do want to thank the community that reported this. That was so vital. I think that we need to continue to have, people in our community to watch and to report, to help fill those gaps. And of course, we need to give agency to our agencies, whether it comes in the form of resources or whether it comes in the form of legislation, just to give it more teeth. And, this is just the beginnings. Guam EPA doesn't have primacy when it comes to Clean Water Act violations, which is why they referred it to US EPA. And by giving them the primary enforcement authority, they can react quicker. Of course, monitoring it should be definitely a part of it, but quick enforcement action is needed. And being that it's raining heavily these past couple of days, it's important that the company actually responds and fulfills the order requirements. to comply and to ensure that there's no further damage. We saw the damage that happened at Marbo Cave and the neighboring areas, which is one of the requirements of this project, was that they would not affect neighboring properties, including the historic district of Marbo Cave. Marbo Cave, in fact, one of the requirements was that they were supposed to protect that site, including visual effects. So there's other regulatory actions that can come out of this. And I did reach out to SHPO's office. I reached out to BSP to find out that there wasn't a consistency done. So normally when you have projects that could affect the coast, federal consistency is supposed to oversee these projects. And this is something also to think about, when we're talking about strengthening our laws to ensure that this doesn't happen again. We have to maybe perhaps look at the federal consistency, look at Guam EPA gaining primary enforcement authority over Clean Water Act violations. So yeah, there's a whole host of other things that need to happen. But for now, it's really important that any corrective action is done immediately to prevent any further damage at this point.
Yeah, we heard over the weekend the Guam Contractors Licensing Board is also involved with this, and their investigative team is meeting, and they're doing some reassessments, kind of relative to what Sabrina opened this conversation with about whether or not there was follow-up on checking, inspecting these facilities. Are we at the point, Senator, because I know it's early on, but have we reached a point where maybe you want to trigger an informational hearing or something?
Yes, I'm working with Senator Rogel. We'll be setting up a joint oversight hearing on this. And so we'll definitely keep the public, we'll let the public know as soon as we schedule that. I know we're heading into budget cycle, so it would have to be the evening hours if we're gonna, the budget needs to be done too as well. So we're competing with that, our obligation as senators.
All right.
But yeah, there are definitely a lot of questions that need to be answered regarding this. And that's the other thing, a conditional permit. This has been a big problem for the government of Guam is who is going to enforce these conditional permits? And I believe I asked this question before, and there isn't one entity that has, enforcement authority over projects where there's conditional permits involved. And this is probably going to take more changes in law, procedures to ensure that these conditional permits aren't being followed through. It's really hard to see that, these projects are developed and then the community's left behind, the environment's left behind. We can't continue to let this happen. And I am committed to making changes, working with agencies to make these changes happen.
When you say joint oversight hearing, you are talking about Guam EPA, DPW also, or Guam Power Authority?
Yeah, so it would be with the oversight for GPA, for the developer, involve the developer.
What did you make of GPA's comment? I mean, maybe this is an oversimplification, but they kind of seem to wash their hands of it and say, oh, it's on the contractor. They got to pay the fines and, it's on them.
Yeah, so they did provide ARC comments to the project. I would have to go back and look and see what were their conditions for GPA. I think their response was generally related to the power grid, from my understanding. They do have some culpability when it comes to their part of the ARC. In addition to the other agencies, such as DPW, State Department of Parks and Rec through the State Historic Preservation Office. So yeah, I guess they're basically relegating the authority of the environmental issues to other agencies. But yes, I mean, that's something maybe to look at is, how can we really coordinate? It's the environment affects everybody. It's connected, it's interconnected to everything. And, we need to develop these proper procedures so that it's coordinated, our response is coordinated and not segmented into these different agencies. Because Ireland is small. You know, our aquifer is so vital and precious. You know, we need to be able to be accountable as a whole,
So
as a
then,
whole body.
so then let me just
That's
ask
something
you, Senator, before, you introduce your bill regarding lifting the caps and all of that, what was just your initial reaction when you saw the pictures come out of the damage over there, especially to Marbo Cave, and you hear about the private property owners' concerns on what has transpired? What was your initial reaction? Were you upset? Were you mad?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's egregious. It should have been avoided. And in fact, but prior to becoming senator, I was at these meetings expressing my concerns about the project. And, you know, of course, you know, like I think most community members is like, you know, where's, you know, all these projects seem to go through, right? And the safeguards are, you know, it feels, yeah, it feels like the safeguards are not enough. Or perhaps, yeah, the community is not listened to, right? That's the general feeling with projects taking place, these huge projects taking place. Yeah, or you know, somehow these environmental concerns are minimized. So yeah, it's you know, we have to deal with the damage. We have to control the damage now. But moving forward, how can we strengthen these laws, and how do we bring our community in even more? Right. I think the community was a big part in this, and the press too. So thank you for the reporting it. To get a reaction, to get a response, a swift response, which was needed. But yeah, moving forward, we need prevention. I'm a strong believer in prevention. You know, how can we prevent damage? How can we prevent, you know, harm? These are things in the foremost of my mind moving forward.
But the bill that was introduced, is that going to be able to be like grandfathered in? Because $18 million versus, oh, you're just going to be subject to $125,000 because, you know, that's the cap.
That's a very good recommendation. That's something I would probably have to discuss with the legal bureau at the legislature to see if that is, you know, possible. But yeah, I mean, it is pretty astounding that, you know, we're talking about a $1 billion, a company that makes billions of dollars, right? And being slapped with a fine of $125,000 is not, yeah, does not really provide enough enforcement capability for us, and it doesn't hold the company accountable for the damage that they've done. So that's something to definitely bring to the table.
Yeah, that's just a big kick in the gut, you know. Especially when I read the NOV and the $10,000 a day and 368 days and it's 18 million, but you know, we can only assess up to 125.
I mean, that being said, though, Guam EPA has, at least in my review over the last several years, they haven't always assessed the maximum penalty that they can.
Yeah, that is true. I remember, like, I think this came from your reporting, where they were able to wipe off the penalty if the company showed that they were going to do corrective action. So yeah, this is an improvement for sure, but yeah, definitely it's not enough.
Yeah, and we can't, the public and the media and everybody is not always going to rally around every environmental infraction. And I mean, that's kind of what happened here, is I think there were just so many eyes on this thing that, and it was just so egregious, like Guam EPA had said, that they had no choice but to really try and, you know, slap them with the substantial, well, the most substantial fine they could issue.
Yeah, and US EPA is still, I mean, there's still regulatory action to happen, I think. So US EPA, you know, has, I think, bigger guns, a stronger ability to enforce greater fines and greater, you know, hold them more accountable. And plus, you know, the neighbor, the landowners too, in the proximity to the site, they also have legal recourse as well.
Right.
So there's other regulatory actions, other actions that can come out of this.
Yeah, there was one company that had got a notice of violation, and they were allowed to work off their fine by renovating the bathroom over at Guam EPA. So, I mean, I totally appreciate the legislation that you're introducing. Obviously, it's very needed, but at the same time, when we haven't gone out and really handed out the penalties that a lot of these people deserve, then, you know, I think we also got to flip the mirror on ourselves and say, hey, what gives? You know what I mean?
Right. And speaking with Walter, the administrator, in some of the conversations, he is, you know, committed. I could sense that he is committed to carrying out these enforcement actions, penalties to its fullest.
And that's kind of what we're seeing here is all these GovGuam agencies who are supposed to be involved and regulating this. I mean, were they even doing their jobs? Were they going on site? Were they doing the inspections? We heard from DPW that they had no issues with the submitted plan, but then I hear from other regulatory agencies that they're not even sure if the plan was even checked on or if it was implemented. Because, you know, it's one thing to just submit something that looks really good on paper.
But to fall through.
Yeah, but to fall through, yeah. So it kind of seems like this is going to be an interesting oversight hearing to watch.
Yes, you know, I agree. We can't just stop where the plans are submitted. We have to go forward and actually visit, inspect the sites to prevent such the damages. So, yes.
Well, good luck. So, a lot of work. Have you been able to go out to the site? I know it has been raining like crazy. I'm almost scared to see what's going on there now.
No, I haven't visited the site. It's probably not safe to do that.
Yeah, yeah. When we sent up the drone, it looked like they were just digging some of the ponding basins. I don't know if you've seen the footage that our Vic Fallon, he went and shot some of the video from atop, and you could actually see them actually working. I don't know if it's ponding basin, but it sure looked like a big hole that they were digging.
Yeah, this is going to be a difficult one to correct with this much rain. Yeah, it's hard to fight nature like that. They're going to need more than that, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, that kind of slip just kind of makes me angry.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for your time. Anything in closing here? Are there any other issues that you wanted to touch on before we let you go? I feel like I want to ask you about the All Rise, but
DRT's meeting today.
Yeah, DRT is they're meeting today.
Meeting with the mayor's council. Remember about the mayor's verification? And remember she said that there was the AG. Daphne was talking about the AG last week. Remember you were interviewing her and she was mentioning something about the AG. She needed clarification.
Right.
Biggest part of the RISE Act, I thought, was under required documents, it was mayor's verifications. And then the press release came out that the governor told DRT, like, never mind the mayor's verification. When you submit the application, we'll do the verifications. On the back end over the phone. But then Daphne had said that was going to be problematic. Yeah, so, yeah, that's why I didn't want to ask you about it, because it's going to give me a headache. Yeah.
Yeah, and plus we're starting session today, so I need to get ready.
Thank you, Senator.
Take care. Have fun, but good luck.
Yeah, shoot us a message if you do get any update on the meeting with DRT or anything. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator. All right, Senator Sabina Perez. She's the oversight chair of the Environment, Procurement, Revenue Tax, and the Department of Labor. It's 9:13.
Busy.
Right. Let's go ahead and keep it in the KUAM News Zoom room and bring on Jay Perez. We're talking about the first annual, and we got bunch of pictures here.